So this week was interesting. There was a post from a person concerning a event that took place where a drag queen was doing a reading to a bunch of children. And these children were not forced into being in this group with this drag queen. And it was like the thing is called a drag queen story hour. First, let me come clean when it comes to drag queens. I neither like them nor dislike them. There's some aspects of them I find pretty annoying and disturbing. I think they do perpetuate some pretty rotten stereotypes. But, at the same time, I don't think they're harmful. I don't think they're hurting people or anything like that. But what was really telling on this thread concerning this was, first of all, you may have seen it. I will provide the link for it. It has a picture of a drag queen, really decked out with full face makeup, in a white lace gown, basically. But obviously they're a male. You can see hairy arm, a very hairy arm holding the book that they're holding for these children. And with, looks like 5 massive horns coming off their head. So this is kind of some people liken it to being a demon, and I can sort of see that. But at the same time, this is also in front of a bunch of kids that are in costume. I did a little bit more research on this. The individual's name is Xochi Mochi, Xochi Mochi, and basically they're part of a group called Drag Queen Story Hour, or at least it's the page on Facebook. This individual had one of these events and texted out how wonderful it was to have been part of this, and how wonderful the children were, and all those sorts of things. And what happened was this tweet caught the eye of a politician. His last name is Avaro. I forget exactly what the last name is. It was pretty... he's a Republican politician that's running for office to take over Maxine Waters' seat. And this individual decided to use the tweet as a weapon. Let's just face it. They tried to use it as a leg up to make him be more known. So this tweet was put out, and it was very negative. It was, what are we teaching our children? Why are we exposing our children to this? And all this sort of stuff. Well, this caught the eye of a bunch of conservatives, mostly Christians, and they went to the Drag Queen Story Hour Facebook page, the link I will provide in the comments, and started to proceed to hate on these people. Started hating on this group. You can tell when this politician made this tweet because it is around that time when the negative comments start coming out. Here is an example of some of the negative comments. Well, before that, there was a nice compliment. Wow, she looks gorgeous. Yay for drag monsters. Because this drag queen here is done up as a monster. Okay, it's a little over the top, I guess, for little kids, but you know why? Okay. So the the next comment is, not a fan of this for a kid program. And the sub-comments, well, one person asked, why not? Don't you like demons? You are racist towards demons. That's silly. And let's see. There were people saying that they were brainwashing, like in response to my comment. Pythos von Richthofen, what is disgusting is that they are brainwashing impressionable children into their genderless ideology. If you don't believe me, look at their website. It is their self-admitted goal. I'm looking at their website. Now, maybe there's another one. I'm not seeing that it's all about brainwashing or the gay agenda. I see people using terms like degenerates, and interesting, I learned about the word degenerate and its history and where it came from, and you all might want to read up on it and learn up on the word degenerate and who actually started phrasing it. They're not really people you want to associate with, and Hitler was a great fan of the word degenerate. My response to that guy was, they are not brainwashing any more than the church brainwashes kids to hate those that are different. There is one queen. There is one queen whose antics I do see as problematic. Sorry for using that term, but it was problematic. You'll see it on this. If you follow this link, you'll see it. There is one queen who is decked out fully, which is fine. It's a very colorful costume. The books that they're reading is kind of like very gay oriented, and the person asks, who wants to be a drag queen when they grow up, asking little kids this, and has this silly little song, the hips of the drag queen go swish, 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 and no, I actually don't think that's a good thing to expose children to. I think it would be just fine having a drag queen decked out and reading more mainstream stuff. Now, my logic behind that is you already have a person looking really wild reading a book. It can be any book. It can be Cat in a Hat. It can, oh, sorry, Cat in a Hat's bad, isn't it? It can be, wow, Cat in a Hat goes away. Screw it. I'm going to say, yeah, you can be reading Cat in a Hat or Green Eggs and Ham or something like. The drag queen can be reading books like that and still get an impression on the children that these people are just normal. And they are. That's the thing. I see this sort of hate and angst and anger towards drag queens reading books and exposing the children to bad things. And it's like, these people are, for the most part, just normal human beings, just enjoying life, have a different form of expression. Very much like I have a different form of expression. And just some of the comments, though, were just so disgusting. There was one person who said, burn them at a stake. I don't know if they're a Christian. They may have been a troll for all I know. But another person was saying, if these drag queens are around my kid, for even, or within 200 feet of my kid, I'd be on the news. In other words, he would have done something violent to the drag queen, which is just, why? Why do you say stuff like that? Why do people get a charge off of saying they would just beat the shit out of someone just because of the way they're dressed? That just doesn't make any sense. Let's see if I can find other comments. There's actually some people who are now coming back in and saying, why all the offense and all that sort of stuff. And that's how I feel. It's like, well, why are you upset? Why are you so upset with drag queens reading? What would you rather have? A corrupt politician reading to children? Or a Catholic priest? Or, a homophobic pastor like Pastor Anderson in Arizona? Or, hey, why not a sports star like a football player? Have Mr. Vick, the guy who abused those dogs, have him read to the students. Have these football players that have been accused of and convicted of domestic violence, have them read to the students, or to the kids. Here's the other thing about this whole program. It's voluntary. So, after learning that it's voluntary, some of these people were saying that the parents should be thrown in jail for exposing their kids to this. Well, frankly, I think parents should be thrown in jail for exposing their children to the likes of Pat Robertson, to the likes of I forget what his first name is, but Pastor Anderson in Arizona. In fact, on my comment, I actually posted a video from him where he is saying "kill gays." I literally saying "kill the gays," and using the Bible as justification for that. He's actually advocating for hurting people, whereas the drag queens are doing what? They're trying to promote being drag queens. How horrible. Like, the world would be a worse place if there were more drag queens than violent felons. So I'll provide the links to this, and I'm sorry if this video was a little disjointed. Just go to the link and check out the drag queen story hour and some of these comments, because you might find it interesting. I've got Amber in the background here, and I think she's got some things to say about it. She'll probably be a little bit more cogent on it. Go ahead, Amber.
Well, I actually said a lot of the stuff that I was going to say. Basically, it's so annoying. You know, you always get these people who spout out about, you know, being angry and being pissed off and all about, like, oh, you know, this is fucking brainwashing our children and whatnot. And they didn't take the time to do the 2 seconds of research, actually look into it, because the actual article provided was actually very bigoted itself. It's very biased, the original article.
Yeah.
So they got it from their little site, and they're all in their little echo chamber. And basically it's like, oh, this is horrible, they're trying to brainwash and all this stuff. And they'd done the homework they would have saw was voluntary.
Yep.
And of course, then, you know, then you have the whole, like, oh, well, you know, parents should be jailed for this. And again, you know, I agree. Like, that's what I said. I was like, you know, what about, like, parents brainwashing, forcing their children to go to the church, forcing their children into religious schools?
Right.
You know, that's pretty fucked up shit, and that's all brainwashing. Why can't they go to jail? Because these same parents would be like, oh, well, that's because, you know, it's so upstanding and so great and so wholesome and all this bullshit. When it's really not.
No.
Okay?
No.
You know, and especially, it's just so hateful. You know, if they had done the time to do the research and then they saw that it was, you know, voluntary. And same thing, like, I had this shit go up in my feed about some parents who wanted to do, that were doing gender-neutral parenting to their son. And the first thing on the thread was, like, these parents need to be thrown in jail.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, I gotta look at this video. So I looked at the video, and it was actually very respectful for the child. It took the child's choice into consideration. It didn't force. I have seen some gender-neutral parenting that I would say is abusive, borderline abusive, when they start getting into, like, privilege and forcing stuff and all that stuff on their children. That gets into abuse. But this was very, like, you know, they get to choose, you know, and like, that's fine. And, you know, you know, throwing them in jail, okay, so we should be able to throw, you know, and these same people will, like, get away with, like, will, like, just say, like, really horrible things and, like, get away and defend the most abusive things possible. I know most of the parents on that thread would, like, probably beat their children.
No, there were quite a few that were actually proudly saying they beat their children.
Yeah, exactly. That's not abusive, but, you know, someone reading a story time hour. That
was the original article, and I will provide a link for that if I can find the article. It's been a couple of days, and when I find it, I will post it as well. And you brought up, you sort of started touching on an interesting point, and it is these parents, like I said, fair amount of them are Christian. And whenever you ask a person like this, what harm is this doing to their child? What harm did gays do to their child? Now, there's this automatic assumption that all gays or trans or drag queens are all pedophiles. These people are not looking at the average look of a pedophile or a sex crime person. a person guilty of a sex crime. In case you haven't noticed, they're all pretty normal look, whatever, they're quite normal looking. And another thing they'll bring up is Genesis 19, Sodom and Gomorrah. They constantly drag this thing out as if this is the reason that's given to justify hatred of gays. Here's something about Sodom and Gomorrah. I'm going to provide you a link as well for the Bible Reloaded episode concerning Sodom and Gomorrah, because they're so much better at breaking things down. And they're atheists, so they're actually reading the Bible. I don't know if you know this channel, but it's a great channel. So what effectively happened is God was upset with Sodom and Gomorrah. They were wicked. That's how it was described, that they were wicked and not following his rules or something like that. And Lot basically says, well, or not Lot, somebody asked God, well, will you spare the city if there were 50 people that were worthy of being saved? And God said, yeah, I'll do that. And then this individual, I think it was Lot, basically kept on saying, whittled it down to 5 or 10 people that were worthy of survival. And so the way God goes to figure out if in fact the people of Sodom and Gomorrah were decent, he sends down 2 angels. Now, think about this. In order to find out if the people of Sodom, if there were at least 5 people in Sodom and Gomorrah that were worthy of saving, in order to find this out, the omnipotent Lord had to send down 2 angels. All right, just leave that one where it is. So he sent down 2 angels. These angels go into Sodom and Gomorrah, and Lot finds them, and immediately says, "Come with me. Just come with me. Don't mill about the city," because the city was bad. Okay, and the angel said, "No, we're going to sleep in the town square." And Sodom and Lot is saying, "No, please don't. Please come to my house." And over time, the angels finally decide to go to Lot's house. The townspeople learn of these angels coming to Sodom and Gomorrah, and they basically bang on Lot's door, asking him to put the 2 people that are visiting out so that they may basically rape them. The term is know, so that we may know them, but what they mean is rape them. Now, this story is about how good Lot is, and what Lot does to satisfy the townspeople is he offers his daughters to this rape gang, is what it is. And he offers his daughter to these rapists. And the townspeople, of course, refuse to do that. And basically, over time, what happens is, of course, Sodom and Gomorrah get destroyed. This is the thing. What were those townspeople going to do? They were going to rape angels. They weren't. It wasn't. They were wicked because it's described. It's all about gay sex and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, probably gay sex was taking place there. There was probably heterosexual sex taking place there too. There were probably a lot of children and a lot of animals that lived there that were completely innocent. But it was all about Lot. And Lot is a upstanding citizen, so upstanding that he was going to offer his daughters to a rape gang. Think about that. Now, the people who are tearing apart this drag queen story hour, once again, they will use Sodom and Gomorrah as a reason why this shouldn't be going on. And I don't get it. I don't get it. You're bringing up a story that it's not really described what was bad about Sodom and Gomorrah, aside from the fact these angels were going to be raped by the townsfolk. So, rape and consensual homosexual sex are two different things. And as far as I know, there are some straight drag queens too. Though I've heard that if they're called drag queens, they're always gay. I don't know if that's true or not. Couldn't care less. All I care about is just the vitriol hate that people have towards people who are not hurting others. That's my big thing. And I kind of interrupted Amber on that one, but you know, what do you have to say about that? You know, anything?
About which part? Oh, yeah, well, they have some. I know that a lot of these people are going on now about how most, they're going around with this number, I forget, but they're saying like a large amount of people who identify as trans or drag or whatever are actually sexual predators. Yeah, so they're saying that, or like gay people. Yeah, I'm sure like maybe some gay people might like children, but that's not like, the thing is, that's not all the people. I mean, you know, there are other people who enjoy molesting children. Funnily enough, you know, women never get in trouble for the shit that they do. You know, I bet there's a lot of fucking mothers that are child molesters that get away with it because they are mothers. I know personally, and have known, heard other stories that are fucking, yes, borderline, it's sexually weird from mothers. They do that shit too. Parents get away with that shit because the parents, and yeah, you have these people who like spend time with children, and they can range from gay to straight. But just being gay does not mean you're going to do that.
Right.
Being straight doesn't mean you're going to do that.
Right.
It just means that, you know, some people do it, you know, whenever they do it. But yeah, I just had to add that in there because there's a huge part of the population that totally gets ignored when it comes to molesting children, I believe. But that's just my 2 cents. I mean, I've heard enough stories, and I've had some odd experiences myself, so I kind of have this weird, I kind of have this other view on the topic, actually.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's again, these people are assholes. But again, they are coming out with this number, so they're trying to say, like, they're getting people all riled up, you know. No, you know, if they're trans and they're gonna, you know, molest a child, you know, that's probably why, like, when we were in the stores, you know, mothers pull their children away because somehow you're gonna molest their child in public daylight. Right.
That does remind me of something. Yeah, Amber and I were out thrift shopping, and I was decked out, and I was wearing a miniskirt, boots, had makeup on, and obviously she and I are a couple. We're walking together, and this mother who decided to hide her child from my sight. Her child was actually seemingly interested, right?
Yeah, he was looking at you, kind of like not giving you a weird look, just
no,
looking
it
like
was a look of curiosity.
Yeah,
which is fine. I've got no problem with that. But the mother was hiding her child, actively hiding her child from from him seeing me. Now, why was she doing this? Probably fear. Probably thinking I was going to do something to her child.
In broad daylight.
In broad daylight. But the thing is, here's something else. If it was in the dark, first of all, what's your child doing out in the dark? And second of all, I don't want a damn thing to do with your child. Honestly. You know, on the thread concerning the drag queens, this one woman was all, one look at your profile and I wouldn't want my child anywhere near yours. Well, my response was, what makes you think I want anything to do with your child? I have no interest in your child. This is a stereotype that is being pushed upon us by so-called loving Christians, And it's bullshit. You know, this number that Amber speaks of, I'm actually quite unfamiliar with, and I'm going to look that up. I think it's all so that the Republicans can maintain power. Not Republicans, conservatives. People like Mike Pence, who he's always saying something. And in fact, Donald Trump made a joke concerning Mike Pence's status on gays and trans. And, you know, when Donald Trump is actually making jokes about you, you're probably far worse than everybody thinks. But yeah, the whole hiding your child from the likes of me, there's no reason to do that. Once again, the average person that rapes children or molests them or sexually takes advantage of them or something like that is usually someone who's quote-unquote normal looking, and oftentimes someone involved in their own family. So I wish people would just stop this, stop being stupid, and actually learn about things instead of making these pop judgments based on crap that you've been told. Like this whole Sodom and Gomorrah thing. I used to think it was all about gays and all that sort of stuff. And no, it's not. It's about rape. It's about rape and being unhospitable towards people. Okay, so that's the video, and I'll put links to things discussed in this, and hope you have a good day. Bye bye.